Hey, ballerina. How you doing, bud? Rational squirrel. Hey, Clay. D. Garcia. Hey, Krager. Hey, Darlene. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Pug Mahone. Cheyenne, good evening. What up? Hey, Clay, while everybody's coming in here, I did see something I thought was pretty funny today. I don't know what you'll think of it. But Putin has announced that they are very close to finding a vaccine against cancer. What do you think of that, pal? Is that a vaccine you would run right out to take? Now, look, there are vaccines that you can make for viruses and bacteria that cause cancer. But how you get a cancer vaccine, no chance, Brad, right? Exactly. No chance in hell. That's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I'm thinking. No chance in hell that's real. I mean, Russia's record for R&D is pretty fucking shitty these days. So I, for one, am not running out to get that vaccine. That's for sure. I'm sure there are vaccines that can be developed for lots of different, because we know that there's a relationship between viri and cancer, some bacteria and cancer. And so for those, I can understand that you could have a vaccine. But how you get a panacea vaccine, I don't have the slightest idea. I don't even know if such a thing is possible. So, guys, I want to welcome everybody to tonight's Live at 5 from Kyiv. Hey, Steve B. And today is February 20th, day 726 of Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against the people of Ukraine. And last night's drone attack on Ukraine saw territorial defense shoot down 26 of 26 drones that came in. 26 of 26, 100% interception rate. Brilliant, amazing. Today is also the 10-year anniversary of the Maidan massacre, known as the Day of the Heavenly 100 Heroes. 48 people were shot by snipers from the roofs of the local hotels on this day 10 years ago. That was the day that the Maidan exploded in violence. And the people did not scatter in fear. They picked up rocks and bricks and matches, and they burned the place down and drove the snipers out. And that is the kind of dedication, the kind of bravery in the face of the murderous and rapacious forces of autocracy that would silence everybody in favor of their single world view. And we should all be reminded that that's what it takes. Thanks, Pedro. That's what it takes, that freedom isn't free, and that you gotta sometimes bleed for it. And God knows the Ukrainians are bleeding for it right now. And we don't have to do the bleeding. All we have to do is support them. That's all we have to do. They are not getting a lot of support from Poland these days. Poland has given the Ukrainians everything that it can out of its own stockpiles without compromising its own security. And now the Polish border is essentially sealed by the Polish truckers, the Polish farmers, and now the Polish hunters. Now, I got to tell you, truckers, farmers, and the NRA were all infiltrated in the United States And the protests that we saw from them were funded and fueled by the Kremlin and by Kremlin disinformation. And it really makes me think that what's happening in Poland is driven by the Kremlin. That thought was underscored today when suddenly the protesters appeared with signs that said things like, "This isn't Brussels. We care about Poland. Poland first," right? Not Ukraine. There were even some signs that were complimentary of Putin. Now, what do you make of that in Poland, where you know that Poland is next if Ukraine falls? Insanity, absolute insanity. It's just like the MAGA crowd, absolutely seduced by a pack of lies. In the first ever transfer of Russian funds to support Ukraine, the United States has transferred $500,000 to the Estonians who manage a fund for the reconstruction and rebuilding of Ukraine. Now, it's only $500,000. It's right, but it's a start, and it sets a great precedent for everybody in the West who wants to seize Russian assets and send them to Ukraine. Now, we got good news today from van der Leyen from the EU, who said that they, within the next week, will make a decision on transferring the interest that's accrued on seized Russian assets to that same fund in Estonia. And that's looking good. And that's real money. That's $12 billion right off the top. Now, I was off last night. Oh, God, guys, I don't know what was wrong with me. I don't know if I had food poisoning or somebody said there's a virus going around that matched my symptoms. I don't know. But for about 36 hours, I was just praying for death. I was just in the apartment, just praying for death. It was the worst. I don't think I've been that sick in a long ass time. So watch yourselves out there. If it is a virus going around, it'll come to you eventually. That's for sure. But anyway, so this news is yesterday's news. But in 3 days, the Ukrainians shot down 6 fighter jets of the Russian Air Force. That's $300 million in irreplaceable equipment that compromises Russia's ability to prosecute this war. Not only that, it is changing Russian behavior. Because the front line moved in Avdiivka, right? So now the Russians had to get closer to the front line to hit their targets. Well, that put them within range of the Patriot batteries. It'll be interesting to see. We saw many fewer sorties flown over Avdiivka today than in the past. And it'll be interesting to see if we see less of that. Maxim Kuzminov, who was the Russian pilot that defected with his Mi-8 helicopter, made all the press, was a big story. He was found assassinated today in Spain. He was shot 5 times and then run over. And that is the end of the story of Maxim Kuzminov, sorry. Sweden has announced a new aid package. It includes underwater weapons, mines, and torpedoes. The Robot 70 air defense system, don't know it, and some other air defense systems, anti-tank robots, grenade launchers and ammo, artillery ammo, hand grenades, Carl Gustav grenade launchers. Apparently, they're the fancy ones. They have a little G on the side, I guess. Medical equipment, ambulances, and funding for CV-90 armored vehicles to the tune of $96 million. And another $40 million for educational services to the people of Ukraine. Now, additionally, there are 30 amphibious assault boats in this package for crossing rivers, maybe getting out to Crimea. It's hard to say, but 30 amphibious assault boats, which I guess they don't count when it comes to the Montreux Convention, and they'll be loaded over land. They'll be delivered over land. All up, this brings the Swedes to 3 billion USD in contributions, nearly 3 billion USD in contributions to Ukraine aid. In Avdiivka today, the number of Russian attacks dropped dramatically. The Russians are clearly regrouping and engaged in clearing operations. And given the number of dead in Avdiivka, those clearing operations could take some time, one would think. The UAF repelled 9 attacks in Avdiivka today. Russia is accused of executing at least 6 captured, wounded Ukrainians. Now look, a lot of people ask me why I never show combat footage. I never show combat footage. I never show pictures of POWs. Because though 3 of those 6 summarily executed Ukrainians were identified by their families from pictures that were posted on Russian Telegram channels. Now, I'm sorry. That is no way to find out that that's why I never publish combat footage, guys. I don't do it. Attacks were repelled by the Ukrainians in the Kupiansk direction, Bakhmut, Robotyne, and Krinky, all up and down the line. The Russians keep pushing forward, and the Ukrainians keep pushing them back. Zelensky said in his address last night that Russia is taking advantage of the Western allies' delays in providing weapons in order to push in Ukraine. And I don't think that there's any doubt about that. If you are an American and you have not yet gone to our Google Docs share and gotten our letters to Congress, I urge you to please get in touch with V. Larrett, who is not here tonight. Cheyenne is here. She can hook you up. As is Bob Williams, and PT, I think, is here. They'll hook you up with the Google Doc share. We've got letter templates to Congress. You can just take the template, put it in an email, bada bing, bada boom, you're done. But I encourage you to put the pressure on your Congress people. They are home this week. They are in their offices. You got a Ukrainian church in your town? Organize a protest at their office. You got a Jewish Anti-Defamation League in your town? Organize a protest at their office. You got a pro-Palestinian group in your town. Get them to because there's $9 billion in aid to Gaza in this package. Don't forget. Put the pressure on them to support the foreign aid bill that is languishing in Congress as Mike Johnson abnegates his duty to our allies and friends around the world to worship at the altar of Orange Jesus, because that's who's given the command to stop this. And it's insanity. It's anti-American. It's defeatist to American. Taiwan is also on that list, Lars. You're right. You got a pro-Taiwan or anti-Chinese CCP party in your town. Get them out. Protest at your rep's office. Make your voices heard, America. So that's it from me, guys. I mean, I'm wasted after this 24 hours of hell, I'll tell you. But those are the top line stories as I see them today. Ooh, sorry about that. Those are the top line stories as I see them today. Well, Steve, we haven't burned the bridges yet. We're hit a roadblock, and I am hopeful that we are going to get it done in the next couple weeks. And I'm glad in a lot. Do you think that a World War III will happen? Tristan, if you don't understand that World War III has already started, you are not paying attention. You are not paying attention. This is World War III. It's just that it's 1936 and Ukraine is the Sudetenland. Or it's 1914 and Ukraine is Archduke Ferdinand. Make no mistake. If we do not draw a line in the sand here, if we do not stop the Russian aggressor now, here, It will be our boys in boots on the ground over here in 5 years, in the 1944. That's what's coming. Make no mistake. It will not take Russia long to rearm if there's a cessation of hostilities. And then it'll be NATO in their sights. Make no mistake. Guys, look, if you like what I do, please like, subscribe, and share. Big thanks to Jeffrey Roberts, who is the sponsor of tonight's live. Thank you, Jeffrey. Of course, huge thanks to the moderator team. Best moderator team on the Tickety Talk. Cheyenne, Vanetta, PT, and John Williams. I don't think Travis is here tonight. And big thanks to Lars, who's our technical director, and Nightshade, who runs the Facebook fan page, Peter's Peeps. Yeah, Dusty. Dusty says, I promise you, if the orcs advance past Ukraine, everyone will be drawn in Europe. Absolutely, they will be. On one side or the other. Hungary might be on the wrong side. Slovakia might be on the wrong side. Even now, looking at Poland, Poland might be on the wrong side. But they're coming. Make no mistake. Yes, Anthony, I did see that report. I meant to do something on it, and I didn't have a chance. Anthony Tommy Tom says, did you see how many of the components in the North Korean missiles were U.S. made? It's obscene, Anthony. It's obscene that there is so much of this circumventing of sanctions. Richard Hansen says, I'm starting to think Republicans want boots on the ground. No, the Republicans want to get down in the dirt and lick the boots of Putin. That's what they want. They want to just subjugate themselves and our nation to these autocrats. And I say, fuck that. Next will be Poland, yes. Yeah, I'm not closing it up, Clay. I'm going to try to go the hour. I'm not 100%, but I feel okay. I just didn't have as much energy to prepare a proper news night, as I usually do. But those are the top line items, I would argue. You're not wrong, Nightshade, who says these former Eastern Bloc countries need to think about what side of the curtain they want to be on. And you're not wrong, pal. The problem is that you get a certain mindset, You get locked into a vision of the world where Russia is a kind of patron, a kind of father figure, a kind of, right? There's an emotional response there. Sharon, why are we worried about Navalny's brother? Thanks, Russell. Thanks, Lars. Sharon Davies says, keep Navalny's brother in your thoughts that he stays safe. And I'm wondering why you're worried about the brother in particular. I'd be more worried about Yulia, the wife, because she wants to take up his mantle. Oh, the Russians got an arrest warrant on him. Bobby's saying that the New York Times has an article where possibly hundreds of Ukrainian soldiers may be trapped in Avdiivka. I don't believe that to be true, Bobby. Not based on the letter that I read from an American serviceman who's in the Foreign Legion, the International Legion of Ukraine, and who was in Avdiivka. It's true that dozens of soldiers were trapped behind enemy lines. That is true. But not hundreds, I don't believe. Exactly, Russell. Trump is Mussolini to Russia's Putler. No, the one thing we learn from history is that we do not learn from history. Travis is here. Hey, Travis. It's been mentioned that the Poles are far stronger than they were with superior equipment. And it's true, Bertie, they are, right? The Polish military, I don't have any doubts about. It's that segment of the Polish population, just like that segment of the American population, that is credulous. They will believe anything that confirms a negative view of their own country. It's just like the maggots. And that's counterproductive. That is really counterproduction. Hey, Rui. Oh, hey, Eli. Hey, John Smith. So, guys, what else is going on? Questions, comments, points of observation, or personal need? Anything from anybody about anything? The Poles haven't forgotten what the Russians did. No, I think you're right about that. But there is still that 40 years of Warsaw Pact. There were a lot of people who did well under the Warsaw Pact times, and they remember Moscow as their benefactor. And so there is a percentage of the population that is sympathetic to the Kremlin. And I think we're seeing them right now at the Polish border making the trouble that they're making. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Anthony. I mean, you and I both know that I don't think the Russian nukes work. I don't think they work. Bullshit, they work. You got to take care of that shit. You got to do work. They don't do work. A docen? What's a docen, Lars? Do you mean a dozen? Does the United States buy Russian oil from the Greeks and Turks? So outer limits, here's the thing. I have not, Rui. I haven't seen that at all. Here's the thing about Russian oil. If it goes to a third country and that country buys it at the price cap or below of $60, and it then gets refined into gasoline or diesel, kerosene, and other fuel products, what's the problem? The Russians didn't make the money. It was $60. The third-party country's making the money, and so the world supply stays manageable, and prices don't increase, encouraging further recession in the world, right? So, in my mind, nobody's going to stop that kind of business because the Russians are getting screwed and the rest of us are getting a deal. And that's the purpose of the price cap, in my opinion. So, so Daniel's saying, yes, he meant a dozen. Okay. So a dozen troops were captured in Avdiivka or were trapped behind enemy lines in Avdiivka. That, Bobby, sounds much more reasonable to me than hundreds. And it also is more the consensus number that I'm seeing reported in the press. Hey, Tony Takiri, how you doing, bud? So, guys, if you like what I do, I sure would love it if some of you could join the Patreon. I don't believe those news reports where the Russian economy is doing great. Well, Bobby, the problem is that there's so here's the problem, right? You got a labor shortage, and you got the government spending like a third of its budget on defense. And so there's a boom in the defense sector. And they're paying more money to those guys. And so there is a benefit to the local economies of many of what we would call in the United States kind of Rust Belt areas, right? The Scrantons, of the world, the Bethlehems of the world, of the Russian world, are seeing a boom in their economies. And because the Russians have taken steps in price controls and currency controls, they're stabilizing the ruble. They've managed to stabilize the ruble. It's only lost all up about 15% of its value from the start of the war. So it's not doing badly, frankly. Now, the cost to that is another question, and how long they can sustain a 17% core interest rate, how long they can sustain the buybacks on the euro bonds. There's a bunch of financial currency controls that they put in place that are going to come back to bite them on the ass. But in the short term, it is stabilizing the economy. You got to give them credit where credit is due, pal. And there's a number of actions that they've taken that are, in fact, doing just that. You know, as far as I can tell. Well, Anthony, I don't disagree with you. Thank you. The food poisoning, I don't know if it was food poisoning or my buddy said my symptoms are exactly like what he's had at least two of his buddies report to him lately. And so he thinks that it's a virus that's going around. I hope it's not, because if it is, it's coming your way, people. And it is a nasty, nasty bug. But you know, in all seriousness, it is the winter, and normally my utilities are about $100 a month, but this month it was $200. I just paid them yesterday, and that kind of hit me. So it is true. If anybody can join the Patreon, it sure would be a help. If anybody can kick me $5 or $10 a month, thank you. Thanks for liking the live, everybody. Thanks for the gifts, everybody. Lars is saying, there is a virus, do not remember the name. Oh my God, I thought I was going to die. I prayed for death at some points. It was awful. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Yeah, Eli, about 24 hours. Still a lot of factory fires. That can't be helping their economy. No way is that helping their economy. I didn't see a doctor, no. Kids in Norway are getting it. Well, I'm kind of a kid at heart. I'd wish it on Putin. Lasted a week. Did you have it die hard or something like that? Dude, you couldn't live a week with this thing. This would kill you. I was so thirsty and I couldn't drink even water. Nothing would stay down. I mean, I was so thirsty. Oh my God. Saw a video of a rocket fuel factory burning today. Shoot me a link to that if you got it, Nightshade. I'd like to see it. Trump still hasn't denounced Putin after the Navalny murder. He didn't denounce MBS after he chopped Jamal Khashoggi up into little pieces and put him in suitcases. Are you kidding me? This is not a man who denounces evil in the world. This is a man who cheers it on. Cheers it on. No other way to say it. Trump is only a businessman. He's not even a businessman. He's a failed businessman. Every one of his companies went broke. Every one of them. Yeah, Russell, I'd like to see that paper trail. Yes, I would. The water that I drink is Mashortska, the official water of Ukraine. Sparkling or still, I prefer the sparkling, grapefruit flavored. And I've been slamming these down. You don't drink the tap water here. I have been advised not to drink the tap water here. So all my water, even for cooking, is bottled. I have bottled still water and bottled sparkling water. Six bankruptcies, only 10 billion curse upon the U.S. ever. I don't know what that means. Thanks for the confetti. Oh my God, the sneakers. Did you see him getting booed at the convention in Philly? That was really enjoyable. Trump's not getting back in. There's 82 Republicans that are threatening to quit if they don't take him off the ballot. They don't want him running for president as a Republican. I am, Devin. Coming up on a year. Saturday, we don't do, on Saturdays, I don't do the live at 5. I do the Kyiv coffee clatch. That's in the morning. In America, it's 10 a.m. Eastern time, the Kyiv coffee clatch. And Saturday will be my 1-year anniversary of arriving in Kyiv. And so Saturday will be a kind of special coffee clatch. I'll kind of be reflecting on the year and how it's been and what it's meant. So join me. Truthful. Well, that's great to know. Yeah, exactly. Biden's economy is doing great if these idiots can spend $400 on sneakers. My. Great, Lars. Lars, for you, it's like 4 o'clock, I think. 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Are you Central European or Eastern European time? Because I'm Eastern European time, and it's 5 o'clock my time on Saturday. Party time. There's no partying these days, Birdie, over here. Thanks, PH. Bobby, nobody believes that Putin prefers Biden over Trump. He's just saying that so that we don't have ammunition to shoot down Trump. Right? I mean, it's a joke. He's just trying to distance himself. He's a liar. Everything that comes out of his mouth is a lie. So you're Central European time. Okay, 4 p.m. So 4 p.m. Central European time on Saturday, 3 p.m. if you're in London, 10 a.m. if you're in New York. Sorry, Bobby, but that's 7 a.m. for you in San Diego. Of course the sneakers are made in China. There's no way they're not made in China. America first, my ass. Not if I can exploit child labor to get them cheaper. Yeah, Trump has everything made in China. The shirts were made in China. The ties were made in China. It's a joke. No, I get it, man. I don't blame you one bit. It's early for you. But it is tough, when you're on the other side of the world trying to figure this shit out. When's a good time? Trump made in China. I wish maybe he'd break down then and wear out, and we wouldn't have to deal with him. It is annoying. I can't translate that. Does anybody know what language that is? I don't know what that is. Ah, okay. Thank you, Eli. Thank you, guys. Yeah, that's definitely a language I do not speak. Again, everybody thank Johnny Roberts. I didn't see him come in, but Johnny Roberts is the sponsor of tonight's live. Thank you, Johnny. They sure did, Bobby. 300 million up in smoke. And not just that, not only were they irreplaceable, but they are changing Russia's behavior. We saw fewer sorties flown today over Avdiivka. So, guys, if you do like what I do, I sure could use your help. You see, True Wisdom, when you say things like that, that's the kind of thing that makes me want to block you. It's just, what are you saying there? What is that nonsense? And you got to stop sending me conspiracy theory videos. I'm going to block you soon because you're just annoying the piss out of me. See you tomorrow, Nightshade. So, guys, if you like what I do, please like, subscribe, and share. You can get a TikTok subscription. You can sponsor me on Patreon, which is very much appreciated. The PayPal link is in the bio. You can send me cash and sponsor a live. That's how everybody else got their sponsorships. It's 20 to the top of the hour. Questions, comments, points of observation, or personal need. Anything from anybody about anything. Putin is claiming Avdiivka is a great... Putin is claiming that Avdiivka is a great victory. A great victory, Bobby. Can you imagine sending 50,000 men to their deaths and then claiming it's a victory? 50,000 men. The Russians lost 85,000 men taking Berlin in 1944. That was a city of 1.2 million people at the time. This was a town of 30,000. They spent the lives of nearly twice as many men to take a town of 30,000. Darlene, let me tell you something. This crowd does not sing happy birthday. We tried that once and it went very badly. It was not good at all. We will wish you a happy birthday. But believe me, you do not want me, Cheyenne, Vanetta. You do not want this crew singing to you. And that's the other thing, Bertie, right? It's not a town. It's a pile of rubble over a mountain of dead. There's nothing there. Now, I'll tell you something. Remember Bakhmut? And what a great victory that was? How come they never advanced out of Bakhmut? You're going to see the same thing happen with Avdiivka. They're not going to move another kilometer. Yeah, Clay, you big show-off. Are you still on tour or are you home? No, Anthony. Ukraine is low on air defense ammunition. They are low on shells. They are rationing all over the place. They are rationing ammunition. This is a real problem. That's why everybody in Europe is scrambling to get them artillery shells right now. It doesn't matter if Denmark only has 9,000 shells to send. Better that they send them. And they have something, you know? Although it wasn't Denmark that sent 9,000. Who was it that sent 9,000 shells this week? The Germans, maybe? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Clay is our official court jester, I would say. He reminds us to keep a sense of humor about things and keeps us entertained. No, I think Denmark's coming through with tens of thousands of shells, actually. Sarah. Well, you know what? I have my notes right here. I know exactly where it is. Well, maybe not exactly, huh? No. Isn't that funny? Oh, hey, you know what I never corrected the record on? I'm sorry about it, guys. I meant to make a video about it, and I never got around to it. It was those helicopters that the Ecuadorians are sending. You know those helicopters that Ecuador is sending? They are not, I reported them as being Mi-7s. That is not accurate. They are Mi-17s, which is nothing but the export variant of the Mi-8 transport helicopter gunship. That's all it is. It's an Mi-8 export version. So I apologize that I got that wrong. In my notes, I must have copied it down as 7 instead of 17. And then that's it. Then it's in the video. Isn't that funny? I thought it was part of this package. But now I don't see it there. Oh no, 3,900. Germany sent 3,990 155 millimeter shells. That's what it was. So 4,000. That's one day's shooting, you know, but still, it's better than nothing. It's definitely better than nothing, boy. Okay, it's about 10 to the top of the hour, guys, so final thoughts? Final thoughts, final questions? Damn right, Dusty. That's what we advocate for on this channel. Thanks for the gifts, guys. Hey, Joe Blakely, how you doing, pal? The Patreon has really dropped off, guys. I'm sad to say I have as many Patreon supporters right now as I did when I had 6,000 followers. My followers have doubled, and nobody has joined the Patreon. I've even lost a few people. So if there's anybody out there that can join the Patreon, it really does make a difference. It's my bread and butter. If you want to know how much money I make a month, just look at my Patreon page. I am not here for the money. Bobby, that is being misreported. I should really do another video about this because everybody's getting this wrong. They're saying that Czech has 500,000 155 millimeter shells and 300,000 122 millimeter shells that if we could just pay for the shipping, they could get them here. This is not true. That is not the case. Czechia has found these supplies in third countries, and they are willing to sell them. But the problem is that those countries may not be EU countries. And the EU bloc has wanted to keep the purchase of shells exclusively inside of the EU so that the jobs of making the replacements all stay inside the EU. They don't want to go buying them from a non-EU country. And Czechia has yet to disclose what country they are in, and I'm certain that it's because they're not an EU country. And it's not just a question of the shipping costs. I mean, if that were the case, anybody could ship them. Everybody's got railroads, and they're all connected in the EU. That's not the problem. The problem is they're not in the EU, I believe, and the people that have them want cash for them or something else of similar value. South Korea has not agreed to sell shells directly to the Ukrainian conflict. So if it's South Korea, it would be a change in policy. Now, given the fact that North Korean missiles are coming into Ukraine, they may have changed their mind. That could well be. But there is definitely something politically sensitive about it because Czechia has not said what the third country is. Are NATO countries stockpiling as well as sending items to Ukraine? As I understand it, NATO countries are ramping up production so that they can refresh their stockpiles. But at this time, production priority is to get shit to Ukraine. So the limited production capacity in NATO countries is supposed to be fueling ammo to Ukraine. Well, they haven't been built yet, right? These factories are in the process of being built. Like we just saw in Germany, ground broken on a new factory, a new Rheinmetall factory that will produce 200,000 155 millimeter shells a year when it's up and running in 2 years. So we got a problem. That's why we need the United States. The United States has the production capacity. It's going to take Europe 4 years to build up the production capacity for what Ukraine really needs. Bobby, you are just an endless optimist. The idea that a billionaire would do anything selflessly is a joke. You don't get to be a billionaire by doing things for other people. You get to be a billionaire by exploiting other people for your own ends. That's why we should tax these fuckers out of existence. Nobody needs to have $1 billion. Damn right, Anthony. Damn right. They don't care about publicity like that, Bobby. They're not looking for churches to be built in their names. There's always an angle with these bastards. They don't think like you and I do. They're leeches. They're parasites on society. Oh, Russian's a dead language. I wouldn't worry about learning Russian. Did you cover the Russian helicopter defector? I did, Dive Hard. I did. Yeah, you get complacent after 60 years of peace, relative peace, you know. Pedro, that's a good question. Is Musk doing anything about Russia using Starlink? No. He's in fact denying that they have it. He's denying that they have it. Divehard, is that what happened? He invited the ex-wife to where he was? I thought his wife and kid got out and were in a third country when he defected. I missed something there. So no, Musk is not doing anything about Starlink, and he should be. He can geofence it east of the front line. Musk is not a good guy. Musk is a piece of shit who's playing both sides of the fence. I don't trust Musk. Remember, he is not a genius. He is not an innovator. He is a spoiled child of apartheid who was born with a gold mine, a silver mine, a copper mine, and a diamond mine, built on the backs of the labor of the South Africans. He's a piece of shit. He's a racist son of a bitch. What he has done to Twitter, turned it into a sewer of Russian propaganda, is a sin. And then, of course, there's what he did with Starlink, shutting it off during the attacks on Sevastopol, costing Ukrainian lives. Make no mistake. No, the guy's a piece of shit. And his big innovative companies, he didn't create them. He bought them because he's a spoiled, rotten, rich kid. I don't think he's getting money from Russia. I think he's being blackmailed by the Russians. And he's not being blackmailed with money. He should stay out of everything. He's an idiot. I have no use for that guy. Now, see, Titch, there's another thing, right? You spend $46 billion to buy the most brand name recognized company in the world. And what's the first thing you do is change the fucking name? Are you a complete moron? Yes. Yes, he is. No doubt about it. Yes, he is. Now, there was another thing in here. Oh, and the other thing is the name, the X name. You know, he had to like sue somebody else and fuck them out of the name of their company to get the X name. And he did it too. Of course he did. Because he doesn't give a shit. No, money's not an illusion. It's just not real. Of course, the problem is it's extremely real. That is the great contradiction. Human beings, we're amazing, aren't we? We are just amazing. So, guys, it's just about the top of the hour. I managed to get through the hour okay, I think. I really appreciate everybody who hung out. Thank you. If you like what I do, please like, subscribe, and share. Support me on Patreon if you can, please. And anybody who wants to sponsor a live, we definitely have openings for sponsorship. PayPal is in the bio. Thank you, Eli. Hey, Shrimp Man, I didn't know you were here. Hey, Bomba Guy, I didn't know you were here. Money makes the world go round. Buck a franc a pound. A buck a franc a pound. A buck a franc a pound. What is it? A buck a franc a pound or a yen, a buck a franc a pound or a yen. Money makes the world go round, it makes the world go round. Night, Jeff. Money's a hit. Hey, good night, Brian. Good night, Anthony. Hey, good night, Clay. Thanks. Richard Hansen, happy trails. Happy trails to you until we meet again. You have to recording contract. If you think that voice is going to get a recording contract, you're more delusional than Putin. Good night, Shrimp Man. Night, Dive Hard. Hey, big thanks to the moderator team, Vanetta, Cheyenne, Travis, PT, and John Williams. They are the best moderator team on the Tickety Talk. Thank you, guys. Saving me from myself every fucking day. Good night, Rational Squirrel. Good night, everybody. Night, effing hell. Night, Sharon. Night, Mad Mike.